Stating the obvious, we are in the fact business, and to us, facts matter. But in an era of fake news and alternative facts, who are the gatekeepers of the truth? More and more citizens seem to be rejecting the media, government, even science, relying instead on bots and tweets and viral posts from sources that mirror their own viewpoints. There is a reason for skepticism. Our top political leaders on both sides of the aisle only tell the truth about 14% of the time. Michael Rich is the president and CEO of the RAND Corporation, which has been around for about 70 years and is known for its nonpartisan research from national defense to social issues. He coined the term truth decay and says there can be huge consequences when people can't agree on the facts. Nice to see you, Michael. Thanks for being with us.
Nice to see you, Soledad.
So I sit on the RAND board, and it was back in November when I first heard you say truth decay. And I thought, yes, this is exactly what we should be talking about. When you talk about truth decay, what do you mean? Is it fake news? Is it bots? Is it people just, making up stuff?
Well, I started using the term, maybe a year or so ago, to describe a collection of trends that I was seeing in our public discourse, the debate and discussion about public policy issues. The first is a drop in agreement that I saw about facts or analytic findings that once were widely accepted. And then we have the blurring of the distinction, the line between fact and opinion, and an explosion in the quantity of opinion relative to fact. And then finally, we've had, as you've mentioned, the decline in trust in institutions that used to play a role in being authorities about matters of fact and matters of accuracy. And I think that the combination of those factors have produced a situation that I found it good to refer to as truth decay, because I think if we're going to understand how to turn it back, we're going to have to understand how we got to this point.
Did it all start with President Trump?
This isn't new. Many of the factors that have caused truth decay have been in the process of getting worse for some time. We've had other eras in our history that are similar to the era that we have now. I think this era is different in several ways, but it didn't start with any particular politician or any candidate or any political party.
What caused truth decay? Why are we in it now? And why it feels worse to me than past eras?
It's complex, but I think humans have a tendency to seek out and believe facts that already conform to their opinions or their individual personal experiences. But it's more than that. We've had a dramatic change in the information landscape, which is the 24/7 news cycle, the social media platforms, the mobile devices, and so on. And what it's meant is a tremendous increase in the speed, in the volume, in the accessibility of information, most of all opinions. And when you add to that ever more sophisticated disinformation techniques, you have a very, very changed, dramatically changed information landscape.
Do you think there's an interest in turning it around? I mean, I know that obviously the big media companies and certainly tech companies seem at least sort of interested, but I'm not sure like the American public is running around saying, oh my God, we need to stop with these false facts.
Well, it's hard to be optimistic in the short run. But over the long run, I take some comfort in the fact that trends in almost every other sector are going in the opposite direction. So take business, the military, agriculture, philanthropy, I mean, even baseball. I'm a baseball fan. There's more and more reliance on data, more and more use of sophisticated analytic methods. So truth decay, to the extent it exists, seems to be centered in one slice, important slice of society, political life. And the danger is it leads to gridlock, and we've seen it. Difficulty passing budgets, difficulty confirming nominees, and persistent gridlock erodes confidence in institutions, and confidence in institutions is a bedrock of the democratic system. And I think the hope I have is that the leaders in these other sectors will exercise their influence to say this is enough in the political sphere.
Michael Rich of the RAND Corporation, thank you so much.
Thank you, Soledad.